Welcome and thanks for joining us for this Finovate interview with Nicole and Filippa. They're here from NYC Fintech Women ahead of International Women's Day. We're talking a little bit about their roles, what they think of International Women's Day, and the panel that NYC Fintech Women has put together for Finovate Spring. So thanks for joining us, Nicole and Filippa. Nicole, could you tell us a little bit about what you do in your role with NYC Fintech Women?
Sure. So at NYC Fintech Women, I serve on the leadership team, chairing the events strategy group. Our volunteer organization, our mission is to connect, empower, and promote women working in the fintech ecosystem. So through networking, our education, and of course, spotlighting their achievements through our social platforms. So they're a very important group of women. We have over 5,000 members. And during the off hours, my full-time job is VP of Solutions at Ocrolus, which is a fintech infrastructure company that helps lenders review and process tons and tons of financial documents every month, where we help turn those documents into decision-ready data. And I oversee the solutions team, which is a great group of people, sales engineers and implementation folks who help clients integrate to our API smoothly, and then our account management and customer success team manage those relationships. So it's great organization to be in fintech, and even more special to be on the NYC Fintech Women Board, promoting women in fintech.
Fantastic, great. And Filippa, what about you?
So my name is Felipe Nogany. I head marketing for NYC Fintech Women. So I'm a marketing chair. I'm part of the board as well, like Nicole. And my role is really to ensure that we empower our team members as well. So internally, we have a team of almost 10 individuals who are volunteers who really deliver our programs day in and out. And a part of my role is to be a mentor, be there to support and retain our talent and volunteers. And many of them are actually not from a marketing background. A lot of them are from the banking, financial services world and the fintechs, and some not. And I think that's just the beauty of it, right? Everyone is working for their passion. So it's really exciting to see that. What I do overall, I actually, beyond my job with NYC Fintech Women, I am a head of banking and financial services for Americas and some of the major strategic accounts for Virtusa, which is an IT consulting firm here out of New York City.
Fantastic. Two busy ladies then. Thank you for taking the time to chat to us. My first question is about these roles that you both hold, both in NYC Fintech Women and your work life, as we know. What is your favorite and most rewarding part of the role? Maybe Nicole, you can start.
Sure. I think that in both instances, I love the collaboration and the spirit and the passion of doing everything we can. For NYC Fintech Women, it's about our members. It's about listening to what they're looking for from an events perspective. Do you want to network? Do you want to meet more people? Are you looking for a job? Do you want to be part of our Hire Her initiative? Do you want to learn more about fintech and specific topics? So we try to be quite educational, because the more you know, the more confident you are, in interviews and such. And it's very much similar at Ocrolus, where the team is all about, getting the client up and running and comfortable and understanding our analytics and fraud detection. And I think that even though our team sits on the revenue team, we actually cross into product and marketing across the board. And it's all hands on deck all the time, which is one of the things I love about fintech. I came from a very brokerage banking background for over 20 years. And when I stepped foot into fintech a few years ago, I loved it. And I just love that it's about the client and it's not about me or my title. And it's a great ecosystem to work in.
Fantastic. And what about you, Filippa?
For me, I think, what really excites me with NYC Fintech Women is to be there for our team. Whether it's interviews, like Michelle said, people are doing interviews and they need some advice of how they should go about that, negotiating salaries, what steps they should take in their career. I think it's incredibly rewarding to share my own experience, my own success and failures. And to share that with others. And it's always wiser to learn from someone else's mistake than making it yourself. So I had wonderful mentors throughout my career that I'm forever grateful for and still am. So I think that's very important to be there for others, and that's extremely rewarding. At my full-time job, while we are a large company, we actually just went private. We were previously public at Virtusa. We are an incredibly global, large company, but even there we run it as a startup. And my background is a startup marketeer. I usually join in as the first marketing hire, build up the marketing departments from ground up, working with the CEOs at Series A or seed funded, so very early on. Here, it's funny that you go in a large company, but you kind of have the same experience. I have focused on the business unit marketing, which is almost like being mini CMOs within the company. Our banking and financial services sector is more than 50% of the overall company business. So it's a huge segment within the large company. But it's really exciting to be, working closely with the business unit team, everything from, working with the solution team through sales. And actually, I've never had this close of relationship with the sales team previously. So, and it's thanks to our EVP who kind of creates that encouragement and really enables, the team to build that processes. And my role is, almost building up the process across, but as well as executing the marketing. So our business and marketing plans are very in tandem, and we work very closely together. And I think it's really fun. Sometimes we get on a sales call and with the teams and just be able to laugh about things and chat about it, very casually. It's important, which is not something you always see within the marketing and sales departments.
Fantastic, some really interesting insights there. Thanks both. On the flip side, I think maybe more of a difficult question is what is the more challenging items of the roles that you are both in? And Filippa, why don't you take us through that first this time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the challenging and growing pains that we have at NYC Fintech Women is, we are growing and we are scaling. Our marketing team itself, it's 10 people, which is a pretty big team. And, making sure that we build processes across marketing, across different departments. So we actually have it almost like a department. So, and working that through and making sure that whatever we're doing, that we're still aligned with our mission throughout, every approach that we do and every single social media post that goes out, it's aligned with our mission and goals and what we're trying to achieve to empower women. I think that's very important, and that's something that we have to constantly remind each other and stay on top of mind. And I think, for my full-time role, it's like a startup. We have so many, the beauty of it is, we have sky's the limit. We can do so much to make a difference, but being in a large organization with a small marketing team, it's very challenging. The beauty of it, sometimes that just creates a lot of friction and things doesn't go as smoothly as you would wish to, or as fast as one would want it to bring in, make a difference and impact. So I think those are some of the growing pains that I am experiencing across on both sides.
Interesting. I'm sure lots working in fintech will relate to some of those challenges as well, especially the scaling up, as you said. Nicole, how about you?
Similar on both fronts from a scaling and diversity standpoint, really. When we think about events that we want to put on where we're looking to share, background, whether, recently we did a topic around payments, we did one around digital, cryptocurrency, and we're always trying to educate. And when we do that and we look at our panels and our roundtables and our, FinTech Female Fridays, we're always trying to make sure we're offering a diverse, perspective on women. And, if FinTech is similar some ways to larger financial industries where, you're looking for the engineer, you're looking for someone who's got the strong background in crypto, for example, and you really want to see diversity, and it can be challenging. And we're very committed to that, to making sure that we're lifting up women, of all ethnicities and backgrounds. And it can be hard because those roles sometimes have been fairly male oriented. And so it's a challenge though that we take on gladly. And, I see that at Ocrolus as well, where we're a Series B company, scaling really, really quickly. We need to grow the engineering team quickly in product because we have so much that we want to roll out. And, you know, I'm very happy that our HR and recruiting team is very, very serious about diversity and inclusion and hiring and tracks those metrics closely. But, you know, when I first came to FinTech, I had this illusion in my mind that it was all diversity all the time, because it must be. And I came from banking where it's a little different. And I was surprised to see that, oh, we have the same problems here that we have there. And it's good that we're mindful on both fronts to pay attention to it.
Absolutely. Great. Those were really insightful answers. Thanks. And they'll kind of touch on the next question that I've got. So obviously we've got International Women's Day coming up this month. So the question is, what does International Women's Day and the hashtag that they've chosen this year, which is hashtag choose to challenge, mean to you in your work life? So we've touched on some of the challenges, but what does, and Nicole, especially you with the diversity, what does International Women's Day and that hashtag kind of mean to you?
Oh, it's so important. You know, especially at Ocrolus, we have worked really hard to build out a diversity and inclusion committee and communication and awareness, but it was sort of at its infancy, and I helped get that off the ground. And now, as someone senior in the organization and looking around at our leadership and seeing that we do have a deficit in women as leaders, but we have a lot of talented women who are, you know, really, really smart in machine learning and product and you know, analytics, and looking to them and lifting them up. And I'm so happy that I'm fortunate that our head of operations is a great partner of mine, and she also is working hard with me to put those women front and center. So there's a very large tech conference coming, and we sought out these women and asked, you know, would you be willing to speak? We will help you, you know, we'll build out the presentation with you, we'll practice, like just looking to promote these women and put them in a position of power and empower them. I think that sometimes, you know, we think that in order to speak at a conference or be on a panel, you have to be an expert and know everything and be super, super prepared. And sometimes that's not really the case. And a lot of times you find that people do, you know, some people wing it and they do great. And, you know, we just want to put them forward and say, like, there's a community supporting you, and we want you out there. And we want to see you in our marketing. And that's been something that we've taken on very, very seriously at Ocrolus, and with the full support of the leadership team, which is a kudos to them.
Fantastic. Yeah. So empowering women for an International Women's Day is always important. And Filippa, what about you? What does the day mean, and the hashtag choose to challenge mean to you?
I think, you know, similar, I mean, it's to what Nicole said, it's extremely important and it's valuable, but I think what's even more important is actually what we're driving with our mission at NYC Fintech Women, which is promoting women and empowering them in their careers day in and day out. So 365 days a year. And I think that's really, you know, something that I personally love to emphasize on. It's not the month long. Of course, we have a series of events happening right now, and it's important, it's valuable. But that is something to kind of, you know, bring to light, is that our mission as a company is to do this all the time, which I think is very important. I have, you know, I'm really happy that, you know, we are using the hashtag and it's becoming a thing. One thing I have observed a lot right now is many companies talk about diversity and inclusion, but there's always a peak and then you will actually not see a change, right? So doing, and me, myself being in marketing, it's not a marketing stunt, because at the end of the day, people are going to look at your website, they're going to look at your board, they're going to look at your leadership team. So I think it's important that people are held accountable, and companies are held accountable, that please do not create a marketing program for it, because at the end of the day, you have to also show on the back end. I think for my organization itself, we have those challenges. It is given, and, you know, even the day I actually questioned the management team about this. And but one beauty that I've seen is, you know, we are kind of going an approach of bottoms up. So within our business unit, you know, there's not a single presentation where I do not see my EVP empower the women who are part of the leadership team, which is myself and our chief architect. And, you know, he will probably be our names are the first names that he will mention and bring forward. And I think that is very important, and that starting to do that within the company, to driving it across. And you know, that's kind of, I am where I am today and working for the company, because I think that is very important to have someone that you're working with, you know, if it's a company approach overall, then it has to go down to each business units. So it is just making sure it actually is transparent across across the board. Like people are within the company actually seeing it and seeing the changes within. I think that's more important than some of the times that we're seeing today is there's a lot of PR and marketing around it, but we don't actually see a change.
Yeah, making sure the companies are actually walking the walk as well as talking the talk on the day. Absolutely. But as the day is coming up, it'd be remiss not to ask, what would be an important message you'd like to send out to young women looking to start their career in fintech or finance or just in general? Filippa?
I think one message I would give to everyone is, believe in yourself. I really think it's important to go for your aspirations and dreams. Do not take a no. Do not, worry about that it didn't work out for someone else or someone told you it won't work out. I think if you really want something badly, just work hard for it, and you can approach it. I am sure there are challenges today. Everyone wants to have someone in fintech, but at the end of the day, it's your skill set and background will bring you into the industry. I started my career in the freight forwarder logistics company, and I ended up in fintech 2 years in, and I absolutely killed it. I loved, everything about the industry. I learned it because it became a passion. So it's all about, finding the right company, finding the culture. And if it's what you really want, I think you just really, try to engage, be active and understand, maybe join us at NYC Fintech Women to understand, what are some of the hot topics within the industry and keeping that engagement. But, I don't think you should take no for an answer ever and just, go for your dreams.
Fantastic. And how about you, Nicole?
Yeah, similar lines, but tactical, I would say. Please don't read a job, rec and think that because you don't do every single thing on there that you can't take that job. That is so not true. Those job descriptions are written for someone who doesn't actually exist 99% of the time. And, I've taken so many jobs throughout my career that I knew part of it and I figured out the rest. And, as Filippa said, if you're passionate about it and you care and you want to work hard and learn, then you will find a place in fintech. And I can't say enough, please join NYC Fintech Women. We will help you. We work so hard to think about, how to interview or keywords or phrases, or how to even read some of these recs that say terms like growth. And you're like, what does growth mean? Especially if you want to transition out, like you don't have to be in fintech to be in our organization. We want strong and talented women that are just looking for support, and we're here for you. And, we have a hire her job board. You can look at roles. We try to stay very connected with other fintechs around, New York, as well as, frankly, our footprint's getting much larger into California and other places, and even international. So we're here for you. And, like she said, don't take no for an answer.
Right, absolutely. So go for it. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds great. Kind of taking a slightly different turn. And Filippa, I know you mentioned this when you talk about your manager and making sure that other members of the team and other senior leadership are bought in to the whole process and the whole empowering. And so that question kind of ties into that, which is how can men as well as women contribute to support gender equality? Because it should be across both boards. Do you agree with that, Nicole?
Yeah.
Filippa, you can go. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think I actually love this question because I have historically been more empowered by the men I've worked for than women. So I think it's more important than ever that women support other women. It's important that we set as an example to lead with as an example, so that the rest of the team or the male counterparts are also seeing that. So my experience have actually been slightly different. I think although many of the men that have been supporting and have created that empowerment, something they need to look at is, am I reacting the same way to something that Filippa said versus something that someone else who is a male counterpart said. And I think that's an important thing to think about. There's some biases, unfortunately, as much as we want to do the empowerment. At the end of the day, for some reason, when women say no, or, you know, actually respond back and give, you know, maybe something that they don't want to hear, it becomes very personal. And I've seen that throughout my career many times, over and over again. While my, you know, male counterpart, let's say my CTO, would go and say the same thing, and the reaction would be totally different. And I think that is a challenge, and something I think men should think about for empowering other women in the workplace. You know, am I sure, I love the idea of supporting women. I'm engaged in these programs, but am I actually fully going through with this? Am I reacting the same way that I would do if someone else would do this? I think that's very important. And I think for women, it's even more important to support each other and lift up each other. I think it was it Margaret Albright who said there's a hell for women, there's a special place in hell for women who do not support other women. I am personally a strong believer in that. You know, I think it's one thing I have seen is, you know, women might not have each other's back as strongly as men would actually have other women's back. So I think that is a challenge and something that needs to be changed within, you know, the workplace and people's, you know, just in general leadership style across the board for us to create that equality in a workplace.
Fantastic. And what are your thoughts, Nicole?
Yeah, you know, it starts with a conversation, and I think it's a lot to put on one woman to go to a senior person, a male at an organization, and just sort of individually make this change. I think that's kind of crazy. And I do often think when I have had conversations after sort of a grassroots campaign in a company, a lot of times the leadership of the males, they're sort of like, oh, okay, like we're just focused on making money. I didn't even think about this or realize how much even more money we could be making if we were actually a diverse organization, taking on a lot more feedback from people that are like our clients. So, you know, I think the first thing is to look in your own firm and the women amongst you and make sure that you're aligned with each other. You know, do you have are you connecting with each other? Are you doing things collaboratively? Are you talking to each other? Are you sharing experiences? Are you promoting each other? Do you have even a Slack channel where you like celebrate your wins and do things that kind of creates that feeling of collaboration and camaraderie? And I think when you do that, you start to notice things like, hey, you know, I'm a product owner and I'm going to a meeting that I am managing. It's all men. I'm feeling a little strange about it. Maybe another woman might come along and kind of be there to help promote me or help support me. And, you know, you just kind of build this community. And when you do, I think it naturally also starts to take a life of its own because it becomes noticed. I saw that a lot in some of the smaller startups where, you know, the CEO came over and said, what's going on? It seems like you guys always have something going on. And I'm like, yeah, we're supporting each other and you should too. So, yeah. You know, and it definitely works. And I think, you know, most of the time when I have, you know, with other women in the organization, talk to a leadership team about the need for more diversity and inclusion. I just think it's powerful when as a team you come and talk about it with tactical ideas, like let's start a diversity and inclusion committee, or let's get someone in recruiting who's used to doing this and looking for a wider funnel of candidates. So I do think having the conversation and with actual solutions is always a great way to kind of get that going.
Fantastic. Sounds really interesting. I completely agree with all of your points. So that's great. As a way of wrapping up and kind of closing out the conversation then, I know, Nicole, you mentioned this a couple of times as part of your what does International Women's Day and such mean to you about empowering and lifting up women and, you know, taking to the stage, as you say. So I know that NYC Fintech Women has put together a panel for Finovate Spring coming up in May on responders, innovation in crisis. Could you guys give us a little taster of what's to come with that?
Sure. So our own co-founder, Michelle Tran, will actually kick off the session and close it as well, which will be a great way to meet someone who was the brain power behind our org. But what we did is we have 3 women, all from VCs, who serve as partners in those VCs and principals. So it's a really interesting group of women. And what they're talking about is, you know, how the pandemic actually created innovation in their portfolios, right? Where it's sort of a roundtable discussion around the companies the businesses that are in their portfolios saw the pandemic as a way to actually come up with new and creative ideas and things that have kind of changed, you know, whether it's business or how people work or how people buy. So it's sort of an intimate conversation about their own portfolios, as well as, you know, just, I guess, a positive spin on on what can happen in a pandemic when you are forced to get a little bit more creative and innovative. So I think it'll be really, really interesting, and everyone should check it out.
Fantastic, sounds great. And we'll pop some more information about the panel where you can find this interview as well. And that kind of is our time up. Thank you so much, Nicole and Filippa, for giving us your insights. It's been a really interesting conversation. Make sure you follow the Finovate channel for the rest of our International Women's Day coverage. We've got other interviews and other things going on from the Finovate team as well. And as Filippa said, you've got to walk the walk all throughout the year. So I hope to hear more from NYC Fintech Women as we go through the year and the great initiatives that you guys are working on. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.